Welcome, everyone. I am Ruth Ween, a member of the League of Women Voters of Champaign County Program Committee. This program is being recorded, and therefore, we recommend, so please keep your microphone muted. If you're still eating an evening meal or otherwise moving around, we kindly ask that you turn off your video. We anticipate that the recording of this program will be available in the next day or so, and you'll be able to find it on the League website. Our topic for this evening is before and after the One Big Beautiful Act on the state of food banks and food insecurity. We are honored tonight to have three people who work closely in this area share their knowledge of this topic with us. Let me introduce our three speakers. Bailey Parks Moore is the Donor Relations Manager at Eastern Illinois Foodbank. She first started at the food bank as a partner relations coordinator, working with over 60 pantries, soup kitchens, residential facilities, and schools in EIF's 9 southern counties. She currently works with monetary and food donors, handles advocacy at the local, state, and federal levels, and purchases Illinois-grown foods from a funding program called Farm to Food Bank. Her favorite part of the job is advocating for neighbors and creating access to local, freshly grown foods. Charlie Evans, Charles V. Evans, Charlie, is a retired Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs at the University of Illinois and now proudly wears the title of Tuesday Crew Chief for Daily Bread Soup Kitchen. Dawn Longfellow has been a part of the Wesley Food Pantry for 10 years. As director, Dawn is responsible for the daily operations and long-term visioning of the evening and Parkland campus food pantries, including partnerships, fundraising, and community outreach. Dawn is passionate about nutrition and encourages pantry guests to, quote, eat a rainbow of fresh fruits and vegetables. So we will start with you, Bailey. Welcome.
Great. Thank you for having me. Let me share my screen here. All right. Can you see this okay here?
No. Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
How about this?
Nope.
Over here, can ya? I don't know why we might be having issues. Let's see here. Do you see anything?
No.
Okay, let me see if I can share this one. Do you see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay, let me get your presentation mode here. Awesome. We're gonna go back. Okay, so as she said, my name is Bailey. I am the Donor Relations Manager here at Eastern Illinois Foodbank, and I will be coming up on year 3 here with EIF. I work under Amanda Borden, who is our Vice President of Development. So my job is like the coolest job. I get to be housed in the warehouse with a lot of our associates that are working on sending out the food, but I also get to help bring in those monetary donations and the food donations as well. And I'm housed in development, so I get to do a lot of the fundraising events and everything there, but also spend a lot of time in pantries as well. So at EIF, we serve 21 counties. We recently started taking on 3 additional counties, being Peoria, Mason, and Tazewell. We had served them indirectly through another organization, but July 1st, we started serving to them directly and delivering to their pantries directly. And at any given point in time throughout those 21 counties, about 143,000 people in Eastern Illinois are facing food insecurity. So they don't know where their next meal is coming from. And county, considering all of the counties, about 13.3% of neighbors in our counties don't know where their next meal is coming from. And we have a massive map over here, but I will just kind of break it down. So the far west side of our region here is cities like Peoria. We see Mason City as well. And then we move a little bit over into McLean County. So we serve Bloomington Normal up to Dwight, up north, all the way down south of Effingham, which is Clay County, just at the very southern part of our service area. And then down a little bit, not as far south, but close to is Robinson. But we also serve over to the Indiana state line, being Danville, Robinson, Palestine area as well. So we cover quite a range of areas throughout the state of Illinois, and our trucks are on the road 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, delivering to food pantries, helping set up, helping them in any way that we can, and providing them with food. We have about 180 partners that we provide food to. So you'll hear from Dawn and Charlie as well. They operate independently through their pantries in the soup kitchen, but then they also can receive food through us. So we just bring in the food here at the food bank, and I will talk about that in 1 second. So for those that don't know, the food bank is where we procure the food. So we bring in, this is our warehouse here. You can see some, I think this was Walmart and Sam's Club volunteers in, but we bring in the food. So I'll get to this in the next slide, but bring it in here and then are able to distribute it out to our partners based off of what they need and what they order from us. So kind of like an Amazon warehouse. When you come to our warehouse, you can see we have pickers that help fill the orders. So Dawn or Charlie, whoever is shopping for the pantries, can order online, and then we fill that order and send it out on their deliveries. Most partners receive 1 delivery a month, but because Dawn and Charlie are close by with their respective partners, they're able to come in and pick up their product if they would like, or we will deliver that to them as well, more than weekly. Sometimes we are at multiple pantries a couple times a week, or once every other week. We source food through a couple different ways. So we receive cash and food donations, obviously, through our supporters in the community, which we are incredibly grateful for. Part of my job is working and maintaining relationships with Walmart, Meijer, Sam's Club, Costco. Kraft is the largest. It's the flagship, the largest craft manufacturing facility in the country. So they support us as well. But if we need, we will purchase food too. So we do receive food that way. And then we work with multiple grant programs, depending on the time of year, depending on the administration. We had the local food purchasing assistance program helped us a lot in the last administration, where we received funds to purchase through Illinois grown products and from those producers. But we also receive farm to food bank funding, and that's what I purchase on exclusively, where I essentially develop relationships with farmers, and I am able to procure food from them. And thankfully, obviously, we don't have that yet through the federal administration, but our state lawmakers are working really hard to get us a lot of this good product and the funding for that product, which we're super grateful for. And then another component of this is the USDA product that we receive. So some of our pantries, not all of them, receive product through the Emergency Food Assistance Program, which is called TFAP. And essentially, that's funding that we are given to purchase from American growers. That stimulates the agriculture economy and in turn feeds neighbors that need it. So that product is kind of finicky. We book about 12 months out. So we're purchasing from producers ahead of time, given that they're going to have good growing seasons or good turnouts on whatever their crop may be. So that's kind of the gist of how we source food here at the food bank. I would welcome everybody to shoot me an email or come in and volunteer so that you can kind of see our operation. But you'll get to hear from some of our peers, obviously, on how they're able to bring food in and what that looks like. We do have a couple federal decisions that we want to talk about. They're having impacts at the local level. We're going to jump to the right side of this page here, the Local Food Purchase Assistance Program. Like I said, that was funding that we received from March of 24 through July of 2025. That program ended a lot quicker than we anticipated just due to changes in administration, but we focused primarily our dollars on funding protein for neighbors, those that needed it. After talking with our agencies and talking directly with our neighbors, that was what was needed at that time. And that we distributed through our Food Mobile program and through our partners directly. So we were able to drop that off to our partners and then serve that throughout our 21 counties, through our 18 counties at the time on the Food Mobile program. But where we have really seen an impact is the SNAP program. So, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. We obviously don't receive funds from that. Our neighbors receive funding each month from loaded onto cards, but we really saw a drastic increase of neighbors shifting from being able to use their SNAP dollars and shop at the grocery stores first and using the food pantry supplementally to now just going directly to the pantries. In November, we really worked hard on this. The first couple of weeks were 50 and 60-hour weeks trying to source food and support our neighbors. But we have seen drastic increases to our pantries since that time. And November is when the SNAP disruptions took place. But even from last year, we were doing some research from summer. It was around July and August of last year compared to where we're at right now. And even in January and February, the need in kids under 18 facing food insecurity has exponentially increased. You can see I've got it here 4 to 5 times an increase. And I think right now where we're sitting at was like 4.8 times the number of kids don't know where their next meal is coming from compared to last summer. So we're seeing that there are particular counties within our service area where we're really trying to meet that need given how many people were receiving SNAP. That has been cut, and there have been federal requirements put in place. There are work requirements now that neighbors are having to work extra hard to receive those dollars. And then something that's really important to us is a really cool website that Feeding America is our large organization association puts together is a study called Map the Meal Gap. The funding for that research was cut. So the government agency got their funding cut for that. And essentially what Feeding America does is they compile all of that information, and you can break it down by I think it's nearly every county or parish in the country will tell you what the food insecurity rate is, how many kids are facing food insecurity, and how those numbers vary really from the overall need throughout counties. And we are really seeing that because we use that when we talk to donors, when we're in stores. I like to just share with people how much funding we need or what our shortfall is, how many people within that county are seeing food insecurity struggles there. And so that is something that has been really big for us. That funding has been cut, and you wouldn't always see the direct necessity there. But when we're able to reference that information and ask donors for more food or for more monetary support, that really is able to help us a lot. And then something again that was kind of indirect was that University of Illinois Extension SNAP Ed efforts were ended, and SNAP Ed educators were wonderful in our pantries, being able to educate neighbors on how to use certain kinds of produce, how to use venison whenever it came in, obviously helping them either apply for SNAP or give them resources. And so that's kind of what we at the food bank have seen. We see it's hard not to get in the weeds. I live in the weeds every day in this stuff, and I truly love this, but it's just kind of overarching is that we see obviously changes in funding that have really cut a lot of these programs that we work on, and now we're having to work extra hard to supply food to our partners. And then something that we try to do is be as positive as possible where we're looking ahead. For the foreseeable future, we're not necessarily counting on the federal level to help us a lot, but we do have state lawmakers that are working really hard to make programs happen for us. And one of those being the Farm to Food Bank program, which is where I purchase. That's a state program, so it's not yet in the budget for FY27. So if anyone has connections to their local legislators, we're asking that they call them, just advocate for this. But this requires a 50% match. So if the state gives us $10,000, we match $10,000 of our own funding to make $20,000 that's going into the local economy. We have to purchase through Illinois growers. So when I purchase, I try to shop within our 21 counties as much as possible, and we're really able to focus a lot of our dollars within our service area. But whenever we're out talking to pantries, we're talking to producers, other stakeholders, our donors, monetary and food wise, we're just asking them to call on their legislators to really just show the importance of what this funding means for us and how we're able to support neighbors through that. And then we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the community support that we received, really just from November through Right now, it's not, not tailoring off any, but our community has really risen to the occasion and has helped us provide meals for people. We have seen a drastic increase in the amount of people that are hosting community food drives and are educating, everybody around in these areas to really just know what it means that we have the support and that SNAP is super important, and that's really kind of where we're at. So we're just calling on our community to help us educate those about SNAP and other implications that this funding might have had. And then I've got one last slide. It has my information on here. So if anyone is interested and you want to volunteer or you haven't been to the food bank, I would be more than happy to show you our operation and what we do, how food comes in, and you literally get to watch it leave as our drivers are leaving if you come during the day. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I get to see Dawn tomorrow. I'm going to visit her pantry. But then the food summit is happening here in Champaign at the I Hotel as well, which I'm sure you might hear about. But if you guys are interested and you're at the food summit, we do have representatives from the food bank that will be there, and they work directly with our agencies and our food pantries, residential facilities, backpack programs, and our schools. So if you have more particular questions about that I might not be able to answer or you think of later on, we would be more than happy to visit with you at our table tomorrow. So here is this, if anyone is interested, and I will hop off of here in just 1 second. I'll stop my share and then we will head on to the next speaker.
Are there questions that you think are pertinent to Bailey before we move on? I have one. You referenced Feeding America. Could you explain what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, we are comprised of 186 partners that work directly on the ground. So that's Dawn and Charlie and all of those within our service area, and we distribute food to them. So one step up is the food bank, the Eastern Illinois Foodbank, and then another step from that, we are comprised. The state of Illinois, all 102 counties are served through Feeding Illinois. So there are 7 food banks that cover all 102 counties, and the Association of Food Banks in the state of Illinois is called Feeding Illinois. And then one step up from that, you'll see sometimes Super Bowl ads or a lot of commercials. Sometimes they run those if they're given TV spots, is Feeding America. And that's a network of 200 food banks that work to cover the whole United States and Puerto Rico as well, which is really incredible. And we are able to rely on each other. We're able to call on, obviously what's happening maybe in LA or in Chicago doesn't necessarily relay over to what's happening in Central Illinois, but we're able to call on, people in other areas, maybe more rural areas. We kind of have a chart where we can call on other food banks that, are going through similar things. So that's just kind of the whole overarching organization. We are independent, but we are, obviously a neighbor of theirs and a friend of theirs. And we all kind of work together in the association.
Thank you. Other questions for Bailey?
I have a question that just came up in the chat. And that, Bailey, do you have any estimated numbers of the people in the area who
yes,
you serve?
I don't know that I could pull up the exact number of people that we serve. It's changing really from month to month. I know that I see this here compared to that a year ago.
Right.
We seeing double and triple the amount of neighbors.
Okay.
It's obviously hard to have a generalization of what's happening at Dawn's pantry might be different at someone in Peoria's pantry. But I can tell you in Champaign County, there are 28,000, we'll say 29,000 neighbors that are food insecure at any given point in time.
Okay. And that was what you just said a few minutes ago, that's doubled at least by then what you're doing. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions for Bailey? I was laboring under a misapprehension that there was some federal funding that you could rely on. But as I listened to your presentation, I think I'm wrong.
A lot of the funding, yeah, that's a great question. A lot of the funding that we were seeing was last year. The state is really bouncing back and helping us with that funding. The LFPA was cut, and TFAP, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, a lot of those trucks were cut as well. However, the state has really jumped in to kind of meet that need. We do know that the states are also going to have to come back with about $700 million, I believe, by the end of fiscal year 27, to help cover what our neighbors are needing in SNAP that the federal government had been covering and helping us with in the past. So that's kind of where we're at. We're in a spot of like we made it through November and through a lot of those SNAP implications, but we're trying to project and look at where we're at in the future and what that's going to be like. So I don't know. We will see what it looks like. We do have federal funding that has been cut, but the state has been working really hard to help support us as best that they can.
Okay. Any other questions for Bailey? Okay. Charlie, would you like to let us know about the Daily Bread Food Pantry?
Thanks for the opportunity. Actually, it's my spouse, Ruth Ann, who was involved with Ellen McDowell, the foundress of the Daily Bread Soup Kitchen. And I remember visiting when they were at the worker house. And basically, they sat around a dining room table. And so you let people in, they sat down, they ate, they got up, other people took that seat. I got involved just as we were transitioning from that to New Covenant, where we had that basement level of New Covenant. And those numbers went from the 40s, 50s, then into the hundreds. And when we were there, we would average in the 150, 160, 170. We then became a 501c3 and purchased that property on First Street. Our numbers there before COVID then generally went up to the 200s and 225. Keep in mind at the Daily Bread Soup Kitchen, we dispense two things. We give out food and respect. COVID was a challenging time, but our numbers continued to grow. We put in, thanks to some donations, a window. So now we have people walk up to, they can get a meal and they can take it home. So keep in mind, those numbers have gone from 225. Tuesday, we served 400 people. So appropriate to your question, what has been the impact? We're seeing greater demand, and we're seeing a different clientele. I'm not sure if you believe in God, but you can't use the term God forsaken, but a lot of our guests are coming, are really down on their luck, and they are hungry and they need food. So that's our status.
Okay. Questions for Charlie? I guess one of the questions that I have is, do you serve a hot meal at this point?
Yes.
Or is it all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We say if you haven't been there, please consider coming, especially on a Tuesday. It's like a cafeteria. So we serve from 10:30 to 12:30, 7 days a week, every day, except Christmas, where there's usually some other opportunities, and Thanksgiving that the community provides. And there's a hot meal. So you walk in, you get in line just going through the cafeteria. There's a vegetarian option, non-veg, regular option. Guests get to pick out desserts, etc., and things like that. And then when they leave, they get a sack lunch they can take with them. So, and one of the questions is, well, why do you start serving at 10:30? Because people are hungry. They haven't eaten. So they get a hot meal and a sack lunch, which thanks to the community, we've upped it from bologna to now turkey and sliced beef and things like that. Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Oh, I have a question, Charlie. Do people, the guests who come, do they need to indicate to you that there's a need, or do you serve everybody who comes?
You know, it's an excellent question. We serve everybody.
Mhm.
So if you come in, we give you a meal. It's not. This was founded by Ellen McDowell, you know, on the Dorothy Day sort of model. But it's amazing the number, especially since we put in that window, of working people who will come by and say, can I get a meal? And the answer is, of course. Yeah, anybody.
Okay, thank you. And I've got another question is in the chat. Who are your funders aside from private donations?
They're all private donations.
They're all private. Okay.
So we get no money. We do get some money from the United Way. We're certainly a beneficiary of the food bank. We're the beneficiary of other local grocery stores. So we're gatherers. I mean, our people will go out in the mornings and pick up food, but no federal funds, no state funds, no community funds, except, I mean, United Way, and generous contributions from the community.
Other questions for Charlie, or we'll move on to Dawn?
I have another one that's in the chat, but I don't know when we
Okay.
need to move
No,
on.
go
But can you talk about other services that that Daily Bread does besides feeding? Are there other services that are provided?
Yeah, it's a good question, and United Way helps us with this. So we have this shocked me originally. So we'll have people who will just show up, and we're talking about people who are directed from the terminal, right? The bus station's down the street. So we'll have people come in, they've got sandals on. I'm talking about December, that somehow they got dumped here. We have, as you know, a growing number of immigrants to this community who, again, are sort of confused about what happens. So we have a small assistance program, which comes from these same donations, where if you don't have shoes, if you don't have clothes, and a lot of people just do this, give us gloves and give us caps and give us things like that. So for the assistance program, we will help. So if a guest comes and says, hey, Charlie, I got a new job. I'm starting FedEx, but I need a pair of steel-toed boots. We'll do that. We'll have people who come say, hey, you know, I'm out of prison and I don't have an ID. What happens? You go to prison, you got a very short-term ID. A lot of our guests, no surprise, I lost my ID. I lost my bus pass. I've got a new job. Can you help me with a bus pass? Now, a lot of this, thanks to United Way, we have some funding to do that. So yes, that's sort of a little, we call it our assistance program.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Other questions for Charlie? Okay. Dawn, I can't see you. Are you there?
I am.
Hi, great. Tell us about Wesley's program, please.
Yes. So Wesley Food Pantry, we will be celebrating our 20th anniversary this November. So for 20 years, we have had a location at Green and Goodwin in Urbana. We're currently also operating a satellite pantry at Parkland College, so the complete opposite side of CU. And then we have a satellite pantry that is for U of I students at the Activities and Rec Center on campus. And between those three locations, we serve approximately 200 households a week. and 40 deliveries that we do through a partnership with United Way to folks that are also transportation insecure. And when we started the evening pantries, the flagship, if you will, in Urbana, it was in response to folks that were working during the day that needed to find a pantry that was open after 5 o'clock. So 20 years ago, we were the first one to provide services to that group of folks that were working and still not quite making ends meet. And that is currently still the case. That's a majority of who we see are folks that are either working and just underemployed. They're not quite working enough to make all the bills happen, or they're in an income limited situation. So students who can't work any more than their time is what it is, or retired individuals who are on Social Security and just not able to increase their income. So for us, a majority of the people that we see and serve at the pantry are not SNAP recipients. Typically, that's a small portion of who we had been seeing. So when we talk about the changes, the additions to work requirements, and the amount of people that we expect may be looking for a way to make up for the SNAP that they hadn't been receiving or aren't going to be receiving, that's where we're starting to need to come up with a plan for how are we going to meet and increase those folks that were on SNAP, that the SNAP was enough for them to feed themselves, are now looking for other alternatives. So for us, what we're kind of bracing for is that those changes to SNAP and other things, Medicare and other changes to people's income will mean that we will start seeing folks that aren't working and aren't receiving benefits. And it's that weight is going to fall on nonprofits and community organizations like the Soup Kitchen and ourselves and all the network of pantries that are in Champaign County. And I think it's really easy when we talk about SNAP and the omnibus bill and the changes to look at large numbers, millions of people to be losing their SNAP benefits and the millions of dollars cut. But for us at the pantry, we deal with individual people and we hear their individual stories. And so I just kind of want to be able to be a voice for them tonight and kind of give you an idea that, as we talk about a lot of policies, we need to focus on the large numbers, but when we talk about food, it's so deeply personal to each of us. And the people that we serve, we try very hard to address their individual needs, whether that's to make sure that there's culturally appropriate food for their families, what they love, or if, for our elderly folks that we have what their doctors are telling them they're supposed to eat. That we have fresh fruit and vegetables. As I was introduced, it's my goal to make sure everybody eats their rainbow, so that in addition to what we get from Eastern Illinois Foodbank, we are going out and retrieving food from a number of partners in town throughout the week. We visit Starbucks, Sola Gradia Farm, Central Illinois Bakehouse. We're part of the Retailers Against Hunger program with EIF, so we pick up from Target. And that's weekly. And that comes in and goes out of our door every week. And we could be giving out so much more food. It's really the amount of folks that want to eat healthy and want to have that fresh stuff, we could be giving that out constantly. So the thought that there's a lot of policy discussion about making sure that people are working hard enough to get the benefits that they need. I can 100% be the voice of our guests and tell you that it is very hard for them to get benefits. They are already working so hard to get the little bit of benefits that they get, and to get to pantries, and to get to, where they can get LIHEAP help for their heating bill, and wait in a waiting line to get dental hygiene at a clinic, or mental health care if they need it. So a lot of our folks are working really hard to get the benefits that they're getting. So I just wanted to kind of be their voice a little bit and talk about individual people and not big numbers.
Thanks. Are there questions for Dawn, Karen, that we have in the chat?
Yeah, I've got, well, this question was also asked of Charlie, but I wanted to know, do people who come there also have to, this is a question that was raised before, need to show a need, or do you serve everybody who comes?
Yeah, so for us, because we are receiving food from that TFAP program that Bailey mentioned, that's the USDA commodity program, folks do have to attest to a need. They're self-attesting to an income level.
Okay. And switching then to, I just want to talk a little bit about the volunteers. And so this would be, I guess, for all three of you. How do you recruit volunteers? Do you have enough volunteers? What do volunteers do? So maybe we'll say the Daily Bread, Charles.
It's a good question. We have, at the Daily Bread, we have 7 different crews. There's a crew for every day. I'm crew chief for Tuesday. And we will have maybe 20, 22 people every day. Now you have, extras, etc. So at the Daily Bread, there are over 200 people on our volunteer list. So if you want to volunteer, go to our website, pick a day that you're available, and say, hey, I'd like to come in on Tuesday. And then, especially, we like to have you come in on Tuesday. And to give you the flavor of it, we have, on the weekends, we have a disproportionate number of students from the U of I, graduate students and regular students who want to volunteer. So they're heavy. And then during the week, Monday through Friday, it's local. So go to the website and sign up.
Okay. And Dawn, do you want to talk some about that? And also what volunteers do, yeah.
Yeah, so for us, because we are in close proximity to the college campus, we are blessed with a lot of young bodies that come help us and need service hours to fulfill various requirements. So during the school year, we are flush with volunteers from both University of Illinois and Parkland College. During the summer, however, we are always looking for extra hands. So our website has a sign up genius. If anybody's available over the summer, we could use hands. We have a giving garden at our pantry as well, that if anybody enjoys gardening, we would appreciate help with that. Would be upkeep, so constant weeding. There's always 1 week in the summer where I feel like the weeds win. And then it's on from there. So look for those opportunities, and then constant harvesting there. Our volunteers typically are really just how I describe it is you're shopping with a friend you found at the grocery store. So they're giving physical help to some of our elderly guests or folks that are trying to wrangle kids and a cart. So that kind of physical help as folks shop, help lifting boxes into cars, that kind of thing. We are what's called a choice pantry. So our guests literally walk around like they're grocery shopping with a cart and pick. So our volunteers are mainly helping people shop, answering their questions as they shop around, and then providing that physical help.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And also, from what you said about the garden, if people have their own gardens and have extra in their own gardens, is that something that, well, any of the places will take? Will you?
The answer at the Daily
Yeah.
Bread Soup Kitchen is yes.
Okay. Okay. And how do you do that?
Yeah.
We will take during the hours. So we ask them to come when we're open. So between 10:30 and 1 o'clock or so, if you have something that you want to drop off. And it's amazed me on Tuesdays, we give out before, right when we open, excess fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
And it's amazing the number of people who will come down and look at 10 o'clock outside the soup kitchen just to get the fruits and vegetables to take home. So yeah, we'll accept that. It's really good.
Okay. Great.
Excuse me, Karen. I think Bailey had a question or a comment about volunteering at Daily Bread.
Sure. Absolutely. It's heading right there. Yep.
I don't see.
I had a question a little bit earlier, which I'm going to see that with Dawn tomorrow, and I've not been to her pantry during hours. But one of my questions for Charlie, I got to volunteer with the Friday crew, so I'm kind of partial to Friday crew because I only know them. But what are a couple things that you guys do to foster the relationships with the neighbors? Because we get to see that in our rural areas where maybe the same 25 or 30 families are visiting each month. But that's a question for Charlie and for Dawn, how you guys get to foster those relationships with the neighbors that visit every day or every week.
With our neighbors, you mean on First Street there? Well, think about our neighbors. Across the street is the police department. So if we have excess donuts or things like that, they go over to the police department to keep them supportive. Up and down First Street and around, we try to be very good neighbors on the driveways, on the parking, etc., and things like that. So yes, it's important.
By neighbors, Bailey, did you mean what we might call recipients?
Yes, guests that visit.
Okay. I had a question about the impact of federal changes on Meals on Wheels, because I've done a Meals on Wheels route for many years, and our numbers are down by half. And I'm just curious whether if there's been some drop in funding, or is it changes to Medicare that might have produced lower numbers of Meals on Wheels. I should ask RSVP, but I haven't done that yet. So maybe you know.
But keep in mind, our numbers through the window of people who are coming to us to take meals home, so they're not coming inside, are going up.
Okay.
So that could be
Right.
an answer.
Okay.
So this is for any or all of you. Since the need is increasing and your ask is increasing of the local businesses and donors and whatnot, do you worry about keeping up with the increased demand and donations going forward? Bailey, do you want to start with, or
Yeah, that is a great question. I'm not going to say we saw more support, but we saw people turning out to support us because of the implications to SNAP. in November, sometimes more often, and newer people than we saw during COVID, which was really interesting. And I think a lot of that is just how inflammatory the everything is right now, just given the climate. So I do fully understand that. We're not yet seeing a drop off. There are some food banks that see kind of a drop off where everyone supports and then, it kind of tailors off. I do know there has been a lot of funding that has been pumped into the system by the state that we know will not carry into the next fiscal year. So we are kind of concerned about that, and we're working through ways that we can help support our pantries and our neighbors directly to provide that food, because we are able to provide a lot of that food for free, or right now you'll see almost all of it for free on our shopping list. So we do see that going forward, but we are working with a lot of our donors and our food donors to figure out how to meet that need. We won't yet see that for a little while, I think, maybe once it wears off a little bit more. But stay tuned. We have some plans that are in place right now, just how we're working to kind of meet that need, because we do know that that will be coming up here in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Dawn or Charlie, do you want to address that?
Actually, from a crew perspective, what I have addressed is the capacity of I call them super chefs, the people who are actually cooking the food.
Mm-hmm.
Their capacity to, can you provide 400 meals? I mean, we've answered this question when we went from 200 to 225, when 225 to 300. Now we're at 400. And we keep coming up with solutions. We keep coming up with ways to manage it. And I am worried about that. Obviously, we're worried about how do you pay for that food? But right now, I'm more concerned because our community has been very generous with us, that our donations have kept up with our needs so far. But we're also looking at how do you cook that food? How do you serve the food? As we have people lining up. You don't want people lined up outside. They get upset. They're hungry. Things aren't going well for them. So you want to get in, give people a nice meal, place to sit down, pick out your dessert, get a drink. You want some coffee? Here's some lemonade also. So yeah, all those processes, we are dealing with them.
Dawn, or probably the same kind of.
I'd be right in there with Charlie. We're evaluating processes constantly to make sure that we can get through the numbers that we're seeing in the time that we have that we're open, evaluating how we can line people up differently or better or be more efficient, but also kind of constantly remembering, as I think Charlie's alluding to, that we do want to have that personal contact with people too. So we don't want to just be an assembly line, come through and leave.
Correct. Correct.
So it's a fine balance, especially for us. We do a lot. We're looking a lot at the increasing need with students, U of I students in particular. And in the discussions that we have around that, I fear being so close to campus, if all of the students that we know report being food insecure showed up at our door on a Thursday evening, we would never be able to help them all. So kind of wanting to keep that in the discussion, like everybody has to take their little part. And I think it was maybe at last year's food summit that's going on tomorrow. Somebody said, if you've been to one food pantry, you've been to one food pantry. They're all different. They all serve different people. And isn't that wonderful? Because we couldn't each individually serve everyone that needs help. So thankfully, this community, as everyone said, steps up. There's a lot of help to be had, and it is all needed.
Thank you for that. I also want to note that if you're not seeing in the chat, that Dawn wrote that for any gardeners with excess produce, there are drop-off locations at Sola Gracia Community Garden, which is at Philo Road in Urbana. and at the Champaign-Urbana Public Health District lobby that will be shared with partners of Solidarity Garden. So thank you for that. That in addition to taking it to the soup kitchen that Charlie mentioned. So thank you. Thank you for that.
One thing I would like to say is when we were planning this program, it was very difficult to pick representatives. And Patty Gropp put this in the chat on Monday nights for the last 8.5 years. Jubilee Cafe in the basement of the CUCC on 6th and Daniel has served dinner to anyone who shows up. They served 87 plus takeouts this Monday. And that's a program that I used to participate in. So there is, as Dawn said, if you've been to a food pantry, you've been to that one, not to all of the different ways that people are trying to meet the needs.
Right.
So I had a question. Oh, go ahead, Karen.
Oh, go ahead.
I had a question about, I know that nationally food waste is a concern for many reasons, but I didn't know if food waste kind of fits into the budget of the food budget of any of these pantries. Do you get food from restaurants or?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Charlie.
No, I was just saying, it's a good question. It is amazing not from restaurants, but from caterers who will be knocking on our door to say, here, we have this, it's extra. And from the growing number of these trucks that drive around and serve food, they'll be at our door also. So yes, it's really a recycling sense that there is very little waste.
Yeah, I work on and manage a program called Retailers Against Hunger that Dawn just spoke about, and she is a rock star on campus. She picks up and she has volunteers at the pantry who pick up from the Target on 6th and Green, and they're able to go in and pick up whatever Target is getting rid of or whatever might be close to date, or for some reason, like maybe a case of soda, like one of the cans punctured or something there. They're able to get those donations. And we have that program running in all 21 counties. We partner with Dollar General, Sam's Club, Costco, anywhere that you can think of to save as much of that food as possible. A lot of Dollar Generals are lifesavers for our small rural food pantries in certain areas where sometimes Dollar General is the only grocery store in the county. And so we work with them quite a lot. We pick up from our drivers go every day or Monday, Wednesday, Friday to stores like Sam's Club and Costco because a lot of those donations come in mass quantities. We're getting 12 or 14 pallets at a time, and sometimes food pantries don't have the ability to pick up all 14 pallets on a Monday and then do it again Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we do that. However, food waste is obviously still an issue. Like Charlie said, we don't pick up from many restaurants because there are conflicts. It's a little bit different with the soup kitchen, but if you're serving to a pantry, we just ask that the restaurants have the either nutrition labels or ingredients on their labeling and on the packages. So Starbucks is good about that. Usually, and Olive Garden a lot of times is good about that. But that's kind of what the whole network, as all 200 food banks, are working towards, is making that more accessible to making the resources more accessible to restaurants so that they can help us kind of in the long run. So that's like maybe a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, but that is very much in the front of everybody's minds when you're eating out at restaurants.
Are there more questions in the chat?
I don't see any. Somebody has posted a link for the Feeding Champaign County Food Summit, but I don't see any other questions.
All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I want to thank all of our participants. What, you got one?
Oh, right. It's not related to the food then. Go ahead.
Right. So I want to thank Dawn and Bailey and Charlie for giving us their time and helping us understand more about the food insecurity situation in Champaign County and beyond, because the Eastern Illinois Food Bank covers a large territory. And I want to thank all of the league members and others who came to hear this program. So somebody else closes it out. I think it's not me.
Well, it could be you, but I'll do it.
Okay.
So thank you everyone for coming. And just a reminder, we have these Keeping It Local programs every month. I think it is, maybe someone can remind me, September through April-ish. And we try to concentrate on things locally that are affecting our community. And we always have interesting panelists and interesting questions. And we really like to have all of you join us. So, so thank you for coming. And this program has been recorded and it will be edited to take out all the excess chatter that we had before the program. And you can pull it up and maybe watch yourself on YouTube if you like, or share it with your friends. It'll be on the League of Women Voters website.
Thank you, League of Women Voters.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. So thank you.
Thanks.